release of Quentin Tarantino's 9th film in his filmography, which is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It is time to dive in and rank his whole filmography. This is going to be a really fun list. I've been waiting to do this one for such a long time, and the best part about this, guys, is that I want to comment down below and hear what your guys' thoughts are on your ranking of his whole filmography. So make sure to comment down below and let me know what your ranking is of his whole filmography. And of course, guys, let's all be nice. Let's have a fun discussion. Let's not be rude to one another, no matter what someone else's list might be or whatever my list might be, because this is going to be my opinion as well. But without further ado, let's get started. And at number 9 is going to be Death Proof. Now, Death Proof for me is, while a entertaining movie, it's Quentin Tarantino's weakest film for me. It's an hour and like 59 minutes, and that for me is way too long for this type of movie. He's so good at meandering with the characters and putting us in the lives of certain characters and just seeing them work and live their lives. But within Death Proof, in this feature, I'm kind of making a kind of an homage to the whole Grindhouse films, with, of course, Planet Terror also being the double feature a part of this. The problem, again, with this is it's an hour and 59 minutes. You could cut out 30 minutes of this film and be completely fine. It would have been more for an entertaining watch, and you still would have gotten that nice Quentin Tarantino dialogue in there. You get all of those horrific moments with Kurt Russell, stuntman in here. You know, it's entertaining for that part. There's a nice little horror thriller vibe in here, and I would have loved to see Quentin Tarantino really dive into an actual horror film. But for me, Death Proof kind of just falls flat because I get what he's trying to do, but it just feels way too long, and this is the one film where I think his pacing just drags. Coming in at my number 8 is going to be Jackie Brown. Now, I really actually enjoy this film. I think some people kind of crap on this one, but for me, Quentin Tarantino, this is the king of meandering films. This is the king of just seeing characters sit around, talking and living their lives, and none of these characters being so great, but also just being so unique. I like hanging out with these characters. I like hanging out with Samuel L. Jackson's character. I like hanging out with Jackie Brown herself, and just in general enjoying the time with these characters and building up to these double-cross heist moments that the end of the film happens to have. It's entertaining for that part. The dialogue is superb. The problem with this movie for me, though, and why it's a little bit lower, is it comes down to rewatchability, and that's kind of how I rank this, and just in general, my enjoyability for these films. Jackie Brown, again, is a little bit too long. It's a little bit slow at moments where I just think they could kind of tinker it up, and again, I get it. He's trying to chew out the dialogue. He's trying to give us these meandering moments, and he tells stories in such a different type of way, but Jackie Brown's one of those ones that I think could have been sped up and cut out just a couple of scenes to kind of get us to the point of where it's going. And my number 7 is going to be the Hateful Eight, and Hateful Eight kind of has these same issues that I was having with Jackie Brown, but for me, I kind of appreciate the Western tone more, and I just like the characters more in Hateful Eight and kind of their banter and whatnot. Hateful Eight is a very long film. This is a hard film for me to sit down and be like, I want to watch Hateful Eight because it's almost 3 hours. And the first time I saw this, I actually saw it at the Roadshow, the 75mm one, which was a brilliant and unique. If you ever get to see one of Quentin Tarantino's films in 35mm, 75mm, whatever, definitely make it a chance to go check it out because it is such a unique experience. And especially within this, because it was like a 4-hour version with an intermission with all these sorts of little details added in. But again, even picking it up on Blu-ray and watching it again, it's a hard film to want to go back and rewatch because once you know everything that happens, you might be able to enjoy it and kind of go back around and kind of enjoy all the twists and turns that are going to happen throughout the story. But it's very long. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes. Just slowly paces around. And while I enjoy hanging out with these characters for so long, you could have cut out 30 minutes. Love Quentin Tarantino, but this is the one movie, the bottom 3 here are the ones that I'm like, you should have just chopped up and made a little bit shorter, man. But still, that doesn't mean that this is a bad movie. Hateful Eight, for me, I enjoy a lot. I think some people kind of crap on it. I don't. I personally really enjoy the movie. And Kurt Russell's great in here. Jennifer Jason Leigh I actually really like in here. And the cameo in here by the third act is like one of my favorite cameos in any of Tarantino's films. Coming in at my number 6 is going to be Reservoir Dogs. Now, Reservoir Dogs is Quentin Tarantino's first movie. So, it's a great film. This film actually inspires me to do a lot of stuff with filmography. I actually have written a script kind of around the same idea of Reservoir Dogs, where it takes place before and it shows the aftermath. Nothing in the middle with the heist, though. Get it? Maybe it's because he was like, didn't have the biggest budget, so maybe he couldn't show the actual heist go down. But I kind of think in this convoluted story and kind of the mess of who's the mole, who's the cop, who's kind of screwing us over, who's the crazy bastard in this whole situation, it's that aftermath scenario in this light of story that makes it a little bit more scary, intense, and in a sense, different, because if they would have just shown the heist and then you kind of go into the convolution, it kind of, I think, would have given away where it was going. But showing just the aftermath and playing around with this idea, plays around with all these certain characters, and I think this still has one of the best scenes in Quentin Tarantino's filmography, which is stuck in the middle with you. Before we get any further into this list, guys, make sure to, again, to comment down below and let me know what your opinion is on your ranking and what you guys think of my ranking so far. And of course, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys enjoy early movie reviews and geeky content like this, I do tons of it on a daily basis, and you guys are going to get tons of that. So hit that like and subscribe button. Also, go check out Sandwich on Films down below, because that's how you guys can get into advanced movie screenings. Coming in at my number 5 is going to be the Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair. Now, some of you guys might think that they're 2 films. I'm in the camp that I think it's 1 film, one big 4-hour odyssey of action, anime, western, everything. Kill Bill is one of the films that I think Tarantino really took in the influence of Japanese culture and the Japanese filmography, but also taking in Western culture and kind of putting the Western and mixing it all together. It is truly a whole bloody affair, and it's almost a whole bloody masterpiece in my opinion. I love both volumes. I personally like Volume 1 a little bit more, people are asking, but I still think Volume 2 is an entertaining watch, especially by the end when it gets down to the whole aspect of Bill and where that is going with Uma Thurman's character, which Uma Thurman as the bride is superb in here. I just think Quentin Tarantino has formulated something that's so unique that we have not gotten in such a long time within this film, and I truly hope that one day I actually get to experience this in the theaters for the 4-hour whole bloody affair murder, because I just have the 2 discs. I really would like to experience that in the theaters and maybe a 75-35 millimeter picture, because that would be truly amazing. Coming in at my number 4 is going to be the brand new Tarantino film that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I loved this movie, and truly I actually think it's pretty close to a perfect movie. Now don't get me wrong, why is it at number 4? It's because I've only seen it once. This could easily go up in a couple years, this could easily go down in a couple years, but I have a feeling it's probably going to go up. I fucking love this movie. I think this movie is kind of Quentin Tarantino's swan song. If this truly is his last film that he's talking about, that maybe he'll just stop at 9 films, this is a great farewell for me with him. I don't want him to stop. I love the guy. Every time it comes out, a film comes out of his, it's an event film. Directing this and writing it, plus you have DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie being the central focuses of the film, that just adds on to it where, like, I gotta see this. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, while this is one of the films that definitely is his most meandering to date, and it's kind of a sense, you can call it his Seinfeld, because it's the story about nothing, but it's a story with characters that you just love hanging out with, and I could have spent hours in this world. Hours with Rick Dalton, hours with Cliff Booth, and hanging out with them in all these locations, and hanging out with them on set, seeing them film stuff, seeing them act stuff, seeing them participate with, say, Bruce Lee or Sharon Tate. There's so many unique things to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that just makes me gravitate to this film so much, and cannot wait to rewatch this endlessly once I get it on Blu-ray. This is typical Tarantino. It's a great dialogue, but it's also the most calm Tarantino has been until the third act. The third act is wild, and you're really either going to be on board for it or not on board for it. I was on board for it. I love this film, and for any nitpicks I have, the one little small nitpick I have is I wish this film was around 20 minutes longer, because once it kicks into the third act, a narration comes up, and it just feels a little bit off until it kind of kicks into where it's going to be going. It just, for me, truly, I think you could have added in a couple more minutes. Maybe that's a whole studio thing, but I think Quentin Tarantino has truly outdone himself on this one and has made an excellent film. Coming in at my number 3 is going to be Pulp Fiction. Now, Pulp Fiction is one of my favorite films of all time. I think it is a classic film. Tarantino's first film I ever saw, actually. And I actually saw it on TV for the first time, where they cut out a bunch of stuff. And, you know, when they cut out a bunch of stuff and you actually watch it on Blu-ray, you're like, oh my god, I've missed so much. Like the whole Gimp scene to where drug ordeal with Uma Thurman's Mia Wallace and how she overdoses. That scene wasn't in the TV version, but it's those moments in here. It's those things within Pulp Fiction. It's the convoluted story, how it's told in different type of ways, and you're trying to figure out where it's going to go and how it's going to tie all together, and just the little theories that go about Pulp Fiction. What's in the briefcase? What's not? The performances, every single thing in Pulp Fiction is excellent, and one of my favorite shots of all time is actually inside this movie, and that is Mia Wallace and, of course, Vincent Vega dancing. It is such an awe-inspiring moment. I think Quentin Tarantino still to date, I think this is his best script. Coming in at my number 2 is Inglourious Basterds. I actually had a funny thing. The first time I saw this film, I didn't get it. I thought it was good, but definitely not up to all the hype that everyone was talking it up to be. But then as I kept rewatching this movie, I just found more love an appreciation for it each and every time. If we're talking for a purely standard, what is his best directed film, I would go as far to say Inglourious Basterds is his best directed film. And if we're talking about writing-wise, why I think Pulp Fiction still has the strongest script out of every single film he's ever done, I think Inglourious Basterds probably has one of the toughest and hardest scripts he's ever developed and gotten done. Inglourious Basterds is an entertaining ride. Every single moment. There's not a single moment in here where it's just meandering. It is a moment of pacing. It's trying to get these bastards, these Jewish soldiers who are trying to kill Hitler, and intertwining a bunch of different stories with inside here. At the end, do intertwine in such an entertaining manner. His take on the World War II aspect and his history moment within this. Also carrying beautiful and great performances and introducing us to Colonel Hans, who is portrayed by Christoph Waltz in such an excellent manner and gives one of the best performances of the last 10 years inside this movie. It is entertaining, and of course you have the Jew Bear played by Eli Roth. Tarantino, I still to date, this is probably his hands down best film he's created, but my number one film is definitely the film that I've seen the most, so let's get to it. Coming in at my number one is Django Unchained. The D is silent. Tarantino's best Western to date. It's one of my favorite Westerns to date, and in general, I think Tarantino has outdone himself when it comes to this movie. This kind of big, epic, wide Western that he's trying to take in within this whole landscape of the slaves uprising, the slave act, and everything that kind of goes with Jamie Foxx's character Django and how he starts as a slave and then gets and works his way up to being a bounty hunter is some of the most entertaining aspects of this movie. I find myself entertainingly rewatching this movie so many times over and over and over, and for a 2-hour and 45-minute runtime, there's not one meandering moment. Some people might say, oh, you could have cut this out, you could have cut this out, but I think every single moment in here adds to such a wildly action-packed adventure while also a wildly entertaining moments with so much comedy in here, with so much character build-up, and in general, every single person is firing on all cylinders, and I was shocked that DiCaprio was not nominated for Calvin Candy, because I think that is one of his best performances to date as well. You also look again as Christoph Waltz and how great he is in this film. Jamie Foxx is great, Kerry Washington is great, and every single actor and actress in here really just poured out their heart into the soul, and you can definitely tell how much love Tarantino put in this film about Westerns. As that's going to be my ranking of all 9 Tarantino films. While I think I love almost every single one of them, even though I kind of been disappointed by some and I don't rewatch all of them, there are definitely so much to appreciate. I hope you guys do check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood this weekend. Make sure to comment down below again, guys. I can't wait to see what your guys' ranking is. I can't wait to hear what your guys' thoughts are on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you want more thoughts on that film, I do have a review up in the corner or down below. Go check that out. And thank you guys again so much for watching this, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. So, until next time, stay classy.